Leo Thompson said we were the best of friends, the kind that lasts a lifetime. But then Leo got a girlfriend. To secure her a spot in the graduate program, he pushed me out of my own research project. I was beside myself with fury and went to confront him, but he just looked at me nonchalantly, with an expression that said he was just waiting for me to finish yelling so he could apologize. In that instant, I realized how ridiculous these past years had been, and how utterly ridiculous my anger was. Finally, I started laughing. I laughed until my stomach hurt. Then I stood up, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Leo Thompson, goodbye." Leo and I were childhood friends. I'd known him since I was 2 or 3, back when I could barely string a sentence together. He was the most mischievous kid in the neighborhood, always getting into fights, causing trouble, and frequently stealing the candy from my pockets. But he was also the kid who sought me out the most, because my pockets were always full of candy. So I quite liked Leo. After all, he was always coming over to play with me. My mom liked him even more because he was so lively. She always thought I was too quiet, so quiet that she worried I might have social anxiety. Fortunately, Leo came along. Leo and I walked a long road together. We were desk mates in elementary school, and we stayed that way for 6 years. We were inseparable through middle school and high school. On graduation day, he found me and asked where I wanted to apply to college. I hadn't decided, so I just shook my head. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The early summer breeze tousled our hair, and he gave me a gentle poke. "Holden, let's major in biology, the biology program at Southwestern University." I paused, then nodded, and just like that, high school was over. After that hurried summer, we met again in the same major. We weren't in the same dorm at first. Unwilling to give up, he bugged the student counselor to switch dorms. Finally, looking like a preening peacock who just won a fight, he moved in, clutching his quilt, to the bed next to mine. During the first week of college, our roommates started putting up bed curtains one by one. Leo decided he wanted one too. After buying his, he went ahead and installed one for me as well. A single curtain was drawn across our 2 beds, but he left the panel between us open. His parents weren't around, and as autumn began, he bought 2 comforters online. Of the 2, one was thin and the other was even thinner. The moment he felt a slight chill, he'd crawl into my bed. In the dead of winter, he'd scamper over in just his pajamas. "It's cold," he'd say. "Let's squeeze in together." But the dinky little beds in our college dorm could barely fit 2 6-foot-tall young men. He ended up clinging to me like an octopus. I have a heart condition, and sleeping on my side was already uncomfortable. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, startled, and see him sprawled on top of me. The words to kick him out would die on my lips, and I'd just let out a sigh. My freshman year was uneventful. Then one day during our sophomore year, a roommate from next door came to drag Leo to skip class. He yanked open the bed curtain and let out a sudden, "Holy crap," I opened my eyes. Leo had at some point snuck over and was fast asleep, hugging me. Startled awake, my heart felt tight. I sat up. "Get up, someone's here for you." Oh, Leo groggily sat up, his hands subconsciously patting my waist. I didn't immediately process what had happened, but I had a gut feeling this wouldn't be good. Sure enough, within a few days, rumors started circulating that we were gay. Guys would snicker whenever they saw us. The girls would whisper among themselves, too. I didn't care much. I've never been one to pay much attention to what others think. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had only Leo as a friend for over a decade. But Leo couldn't handle it. He loved to have fun, fool around, and especially flirt with girls. He wasn't gay, I knew that, but others didn't, and Leo couldn't explain it away. He could only stew in his anger. To avoid suspicion, he installed the curtain panel between our beds. He started avoiding me. I wasn't too bothered. We'd had our tiffs plenty of times as kids. Usually I'd just have to wait for his temper to cool, and he'd forget all about it and come back around. But this time felt different. Leo avoided me in every situation. He even stopped answering my calls. I was starting to get unhappy. One night I was working late in the lab and my heart started acting up. I leaned against the wall, feeling like I couldn't stand. I tried to call him to bring me my medication, but the call wouldn't go through. In the end, a senior student passing by saw I was in trouble, ran over, and helped me to the infirmary. I think at that moment, I truly resented him. After all, he had always been my only friend. I'm not sure when Leo started dating. Maybe it was the fall semester of our junior year, or maybe it was during the spring semester of our sophomore year when the rumors were at their worst. In any case, he was avoiding me during that time, and he even moved out to live off campus because of it. I didn't know what was going on until another roommate told me one day, "Hey, Holden, did you hear? That guy Leo managed to snag the department belle." Only then did I realize Leo was in a relationship. I can't say I was sad, but I wasn't happy either. I just felt that this outcome was for the best. I continued to focus on my experiments. After finishing that project, I submitted a paper that was published in a top global academic journal. Thanks to that paper, I smoothly secured a recommendation for graduate school. That same year, I started a second, similar research project, and I invited Leo to join. After a year of distance, Leo enthusiastically threw his arm around my shoulder. "My dear Holden, I could just kiss you. Get off me, you're being disgusting." Sniffle. "Holden, you're making me cry." Leo joined my research group under Professor Miller. I had recommended him. He was personable, well-spoken, and capable. Professor Miller really liked him. Thanks to my experience with the previous project, this one progressed exceptionally smoothly. Plus, I had put his name as the first author, so his spot in the graduate program for the year was practically guaranteed. From the very beginning of the project, his girlfriend often came to the lab. She was a very pretty and gentle girl, often wearing a brown long skirt and a navy blue coat. Leo introduced us. "This is Clara Payne, my girlfriend." I greeted her politely. "Hello," the girl smiled warmly. "Hello, senior," I nodded. In the third month of the project, we were a bit short-handed, and Leo recommended his girlfriend. Clara was a very meticulous girl. Her experimental results were always beautiful, and her records were the cleanest and clearest. I loved the data she recorded, and Professor Miller thought it was good too, so she was officially brought on board. Having a couple in the lab was a bit much. Sometimes I'd look up from my equipment and see the two of them huddled together. Occasionally, the three of us would go to eat. They would walk ahead, their distance from me growing. Only after they had bought their food would Leo suddenly remember me and wave me over. As I got closer, I saw a glass of corn juice next to Leo. He never liked those kinds of drinks, but I had a soft spot for them. I instinctively motioned for him to pass it to me, but Leo looked a little awkward. Clara's face turned red. "I'm so sorry, senior." I thought Leo bought the corn juice for himself, and I just took a sip by accident. I nodded and ate my meal in silence. I'm a slow eater. By the time they finished, cleared their trays, and reached the exit, they remembered me again, turning back to see me trailing slowly behind. Leo waved. "Holden, over here." I started toward them, but they were already walking away again. This feeling of being left behind was really unpleasant, so eventually, I started refusing to eat with them. Leo seemed quite disappointed, but Clara just smiled. I usually took my food back to the dorm to eat alone. My other two roommates did the same. Our relationships were average. We each watched our own videos while we ate. One day, as I returned to the dorm with my meal, I heard Julian Crawford on a speaker call as I reached the door. "Bro, let me tell you, our dorm used to have this super gay pair, but they broke up. One of them actually managed to land the prettiest girl in the department." The voice on the other end of the line casually asked, "What about the other one?" "The other one." I pushed the door open, my eyes meeting Julian's as he was on a video call. The rest of his sentence got stuck in his throat. I glanced at the screen of Julian's tablet and saw the man he was video chatting with. I silently held up my meal box. "The other one is getting ready to eat." I heard the man on the tablet chuckle, say a few words, and Julian hurriedly ended the call. Halfway through my meal, Julian cautiously sidled up to me. "Sorry, Holden, I didn't mean to say that just now. It's fine, you're forgiven." "Huh, oh okay." In the fall semester of our senior year, the project entered its final phase. We were pulling all-nighters almost every day. With a month to go, my heart couldn't take it anymore. A checkup at the hospital revealed it was quite serious, and the doctor forced me to be hospitalized for rest. Since the project was nearly finished and just needed the final report submitted, I wasn't too worried and rested peacefully in the hospital. While I was there, Leo visited a few times. When he heard I couldn't come back, he seemed to want to say something but ultimately just said that my health was already poor, so why was I pushing myself so hard? I should rest properly. I smiled and asked if he could handle the remaining experiments. I only relaxed after he nodded. It was a month and a half later when I was discharged. Leo was too busy to come, so my roommate came to get me. The roommate he'd sent was Julian. The moment Julian saw me, he was bustling about, helping me with the discharge procedures and even bringing me a new set of clothes. I looked at the suit and frowned. "Why did you bring me a suit?" Julian looked at me, hesitating on the verge of speaking, then stopping before finally blurting out, "My family is making me go on a blind date." I wanted someone to come with me. I said nothing. Julian's face fell. "Please, Holden, I can't find anyone suitable. Our dorm mates aren't that close, but this blind date is really important and I'm a little scared." I was silent for a moment, then nodded. Julian and I weren't that close, but he had come to pick me up, and I didn't want to owe him a favor. In the end, I changed into the suit and went with him. It was a white suit, and it fit surprisingly well. In fact, it looked custom-made. "Julian, did you measure my clothes to have this tailored?" "No, I just asked my brother to grab something. Maybe suits like this are just made to fit well." I was quiet for a long time, remembering my high school graduation. My mom had been ecstatic and insisted on buying me what she called a high-end, sophisticated, and stylish outfit. That day, she had me try on 16 ready-to-wear suits. I was on the thin side with slightly narrow shoulders, and none of them fit right. The slim ones were too slim, the regular ones too bulky, and the ones in between had shoulders that were too wide. In the end, my mom bit the bullet and spent $10,000 to have a suit custom made for me as a coming-of-age gift. But the suit I was wearing now fit far better and looked much nicer than my $10,000 one. It was strange, but I couldn't figure it out, so I chalked it up to coincidence. Julian and I had been roommates for 4 years, and I'd always thought he was just a happy-go-lucky moron. I never imagined he was a wealthy moron. His blind date was at a huge banquet. I sat in a corner, watching the people come and go, while Julian was surrounded by a crowd of business types, the center of attention. Julian painstakingly wriggled his way out of the crowd and ran toward me, only to be intercepted by another person. "Second young Master Jiang, if you could just take a look at our project. I don't have a say in projects, third great uncle. You'll have to talk to my big brother, Caspian Crawford." As he fended him off, Julian casually pointed in a direction. Following his finger, I saw a man sitting on a sofa. I couldn't find the words to describe him. I just thought he was dressed somewhat extravagantly, his suit jacket edged with a faint but regal gold thread. Broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and very long legs. He was leaning back, looking both regal and proud. Suddenly, Caspian Crawford looked up and his eyes met mine. He smiled. I subconsciously nodded in acknowledgement. When I looked up again, Julian had already squeezed his way to my side and grabbed me. "Come on, let's go find my brother." He dragged me over to the sofa. As I sat down next to him, I heard Caspian speak. "Julian, Mom is waiting for you in room 401. Julian was stuffing pastries into his mouth. He swallowed them down in a couple of bites. "I'll go see Mom then. Bro, can you look after Holden for me? It's his first time here, he's probably not used to it." Julian left, and suddenly it was just Caspian and me on the sofa. For some reason, it felt a little strange. I didn't have to look up to know that Caspian was watching me. "Do you drink? A little. Try this, it's quite good." He poured me a glass, the red liquid in a wine glass extended toward me. I reached out to take it. We were a little close, and I caught a faint scent of mint on him. No one spoke for a long time. I took a sip of the wine. Finally, Caspian broke the silence. "Holden Shaw? Yes, the team you've been leading is outstanding. 3 papers were recently accepted by SCI. He was probably talking about the recent project." I nodded. Caspian smiled. "Julian told me you also participated in this project. How come I don't see your name on these 3 papers? I'm not the first author. I'm the second author on the first author credit. Is my memory failing me?" I seem to recall the second name being a girl named Clara Payne. I looked up in shock. Through my glasses, I could see a faint smile on Caspian's face as he watched my reaction with interest. "You should check your phone. It seems your SCI paper was given to someone's girlfriend as a gift." I steadied myself, took out my phone, and quickly looked up the publications. First authorship, Leo Thompson, Clara Payne. Second authorship, Holden Shaw. For a moment, I was in a daze. This was a project I had poured 1.5 years of my life into. I had monitored every step, every detail, day and night. I had worked myself into the hospital for this project. On what grounds did Leo give my first author credit to Clara? He could give Clara anything, but this was my project. It was mine. That day, I stormed out in a rage, hailed a cab, and sped to the lab. Leo and Clara were still there, working late, cozying up to each other and laughing happily. "Leo Thompson," Leo squinted and smiled. "Holden, you're back, you. The SCI papers, why am I the second author?" Leo was speechless for a moment, then spoke softly. "Holden, let me explain. The official requirement is that there can only be 2 first authors. So Clara is a first author, and I'm a second author. I was in charge of the entire project. I was sick, not dead. How did this project become hers and yours?" Leo's temper flared. "Holden, don't say that. Clara helped a lot this year. She deserves this. If you have a problem, take it out on me." I looked at Leo. He was staring at me with such hostility, shielding Clara behind him. In that one instant, as my emotions reached their breaking point, I paradoxically calmed down. I thought numbly, why am I so angry? Because he's Leo Thompson, my best friend. I always thought he couldn't and shouldn't do something like this. I didn't even believe the result was real. I came here just to find out if there was a mistake, an accident. But there was no mistake, no accident. Leo had taken the thing I cared about most and given it to his girlfriend. So what does that make me? Even if I were a stranger, he shouldn't just take my things. Did he think that because I'm his friend, I wouldn't make a fuss? That he could just take what he wanted? Did he bank on me not blowing it up? That our friendship was valuable enough for him to gift away? So that's how it is. So that's how it is. The pain was so overwhelming that I laughed. I laughed until my heart ached and I had to squat down, still laughing. Leo squatted down, his voice low and hoarse. Holden, yell at me, I'm sorry. But Clara really needs this publication to get into the graduate program. You've already got your spot, so just give this chance to her. Holden, trust me, I'll make it up to you. I'll give you anything good that comes my way in the future. I looked up at him, a smile still on my face. Leo, let's just leave it at this. Leo's face went blank. Holden, what do you mean? You're going to end our friendship over this, after all these years. Clara is my girlfriend, you know she needs this. What's wrong with letting her have this one opportunity? Leo, if you love her so much, why didn't you give her your first author credit? Holden, you know I need it too. This is disgusting. So disgusting, Leo, this is just sickening. Don't talk about Clara like that. I'm talking about you. It's fucking disgusting. Let's hope we never, ever see each other again. 8. I didn't have much to do in the second half of my senior year. My professor had gone abroad for an academic exchange, and Leo was trying to apologize to me. He kept showing up wherever I was on campus, buying me food, and casually slinging an arm around my shoulders. My gut reaction was revulsion, but I couldn't push him away. It was as if he was certain that if he just kept this up, I would eventually forgive him. After half a month of seeing him everywhere, I got fed up and decided to find an internship. On the first day of the spring job fair, I showed up in a suit, resume in hand. The moment I walked in, I saw Julian. He greeted me warmly. Holden, over here, I asked politely. Are you also here at the job fair looking for work? He shook his head. Nope, my family's company is recruiting. My brother made me an interviewer. It's true that deep feelings are often unrequited, but it's the power of capital that truly hurts. As we were roommates, when Julian heard I was looking for a job, he enthusiastically recommended me to his brother. Caspian asked if I had a specific job in mind. I shook my head. It's my first time working, I don't know much. He looked at me with a smile. How about you start by following me? You can learn how to manage a company. Okay, I nodded. To be honest, I'm the kind of person who just drifts with the current. I don't have many strong passions or opinions. If an option is presented and it seems decent, I'll commit to it seriously. Caspian was a good boss. He gave me a huge office and a beautiful oncidium orchid. My days after that were spent following Caspian, reviewing contracts, going on business trips to negotiate deals, playing the role of the client, the contractor, and the project planner. Most business trips were just the two of us, plus 1 or 2 department managers. My boss was quite a skinflint. Most of the time, he loved to save on accommodation costs, which meant I frequently ended up sharing a suite with him. Sometimes it was a 2-bedroom suite, other times a 1-bedroom. A 2-bedroom was easy enough to handle, but a 1-bedroom, Caspian said the bed was big enough, and it was. A king-size bed. It dawned on me. After my shower, I pulled another comforter from the closet, rolled myself into a cocoon on the left side of the bed, and settled in. My boss looked at me. He didn't get into bed. Finally, he couldn't help but ask, "Are you really planning on sleeping here tonight? If you don't want to, you don't have to force yourself." I scratched my head. Boss, I get it. We're both guys we can just squeeze in. Why waste money on another room? I drifted off into a groggy sleep. When I felt someone hold me, I faintly heard Caspian whisper with a laugh in my ear, "Right. I'm so rich, yet I'm squeezing in with you." When I woke up in the morning, Caspian was right next to me. He was sleeping soundly, though his complexion wasn't great. He was quite close. I could smell the faint, refreshing scent of tea on him. As I got up, I realized his hand was still resting on my waist. I carefully moved it aside before getting out of bed. The beauty of a suite was that breakfast was just a phone call away. I was halfway through my meal when Caspian got up. He had somehow already gotten ready and was standing behind me, his tall frame casting an imposing presence. I turned my head, and he casually plucked the croissant from my plate. "Don't eat anymore. Go get the car." I wasn't full, but I could only muster a mm. As I walked to the door, I saw Caspian holding the half-eaten croissant in one hand and a file in the other, taking a bite. He met my gaze, his expression unchanging. "A little hungry. There are fresh ones on the table. Don't want to open a new one." "Oh, my dear boss," I thought, "you're quite the sly rogue, frugal and lazy." 9. It wasn't until just before my first year of grad school that I submitted my resignation. Caspian held his pen, his wrist resting on the desk. "You and Leo Thompson have the same advisor for your masters." "Yes." He looked at me with interest. "You don't like him?" "No. I hate him. I've arranged an exchange student spot for you at a university in Boston." Our university only had 2 exchange student spots in total. This must have been very difficult to secure. I said with sincere gratitude, "Mr. Crawford, you're a truly great man." Caspian chuckled. "Let's go. I'll drive you back to campus." When he dropped me off, I was pulling my suitcase toward the school gate when I turned back and saw Caspian was still there. He seemed to be smoking. I thought for a moment, then walked back. Caspian, cigarette in hand, turned his head to look at me. "What's wrong? Forget something in the company dorm." "No." He leaned on the car window, his eyes gentle. "Then why come back? To say goodbye? I want to ask you a question." "Go ahead, Caspian. Are you into guys?" The corner of Caspian's mouth quirked higher. "Is it that obvious?" "I can tell. So are you into me?" His smile didn't waver. He looked up at me seriously. "Very much." "Holden, now it's my turn to ask. After asking all that, are you about to reject me?" "No." "Then what is it, Holden?" I thought for a moment, then pulled open the car door and motioned for him to get out. The moment he did, I grabbed his wrist. I kicked the front door shut, and there on the busy roadside, I pulled him into the back seat and kissed him. I bit his tongue resentfully, but he only held me tighter. One of his hands cupped the back of my head, while the other unhooked my shirt and slipped to my waist. In that moment I thought dimly, it's a good thing I pulled him into the back seat. A good thing we didn't kiss on the street. This current state is just so. The car windows insulated us from the sounds of the outside world. Now it was just the two of us. His fingers traced my spine, and a shiver ran through me. I was too sensitive. I instinctively leaned back, but he pulled me back into his arms. My head rested on his shoulder as I panted softly. "Caspian, stay away from me." "Why?" I was at a loss for words. Finally, I hooked my arms around his neck, kissed his cheek, and whispered, "Caspian, stop touching my goddamn back." His gaze dropped, but I dodged it. "I have some self-respect. You know, what will people think out here like this? Then let's kiss a little longer, baby. Are you ever going to stop? Then let's just hold each other for a bit, baby. I really, really like you. I've liked you since that video call with Julian. I just took one look at you and I was completely taken." He pressed me into his chest, nibbling at my neck. I whispered, "Love at first sight is just lust. If it were just lust, I wouldn't have held back for so long. I would have just drugged you and then seduced you when you couldn't control yourself." He must be an avid tea drinker. After kissing for a while, I seemed to have absorbed some of that tea scent from him. I moved into a new dorm for my master's program, and the first thing I saw was Leo Thompson sitting on the edge of his bed. It was a double room. It was now just me and Leo. I frowned, wanting to move out and rent a place. But then I remembered I had the exchange student spot and was leaving in 2 weeks. It wasn't worth the hassle of renting. It was only for 2 weeks. I entered the room with a blank expression, made my bed, and drew the curtain. The graduate dorms were much more spacious, and our beds faced each other. Leo looked at me, wanting to say something, but hesitated for a long time, deterred by my cold expression. Finally, he said, "My mom is coming to visit in a couple of days to celebrate us starting grad school. Please thank your aunt for me, but I won't be coming." "Holden, are you still mad?" "No." "Then why?" "Oh. I just don't want to eat with you. It's disgusting." Leo's eyes suddenly reddened. "Holden, what's that supposed to mean? We've been friends for so many years. So I was biased towards Clara, is that it? You're really going to cut me off for something so small?" "Leo, I have no interest in competing with Clara for your attention. You took something of mine, and then you have the nerve to blame me for it. That's what's physically nauseating." That was the first time I saw Leo cry. His eyes were completely red, and a tear rolled down his cheek. "Holden, I've taken so many of your things since we were kids. You've never said anything like this. Why is this time different?" "Because I always bought 2 of everything. The one you took was always the one I bought specifically for you. Even the author credits." Leo froze. After a long moment, he grabbed my hand. "Holden, I wasn't thinking straight. I only put you as the second author. I didn't leave your name off completely. Forgive me." "No. Stay away from me." "You're disgusting." "Holden, are you in a relationship?" His gaze fell to my neck. I looked in the mirror and saw the red marks Caspian had bitten into my skin. They weren't deep, but the faint, scattered marks wouldn't rub off. "I am?" Leo was completely stunned. He stared at my neck, and after a long time, he dazedly returned to his own side of the room. 11 Caspian was very busy. He only had time for the occasional phone call at night. We were both busy. Most of the time, we'd just chat briefly about our day and then hang up. On Friday afternoon, Caspian came to pick me up around 4. I had just packed my bag and was about to head downstairs when Leo anxiously blocked my way. "Where are you going? Spending the weekend with your girlfriend?" "Move." "Holden, you can't." I didn't ask why. I just repeated those 2 words. "Move." But he didn't move. He just stood there silent. We were at a standstill. It wasn't until someone knocked on the dorm room door that Leo finally opened it. Caspian was standing in the doorway. The smile on his face vanished the moment he saw Leo. "You're Julian's brother." "Can I help you?" Caspian raised an eyebrow, his gaze shifting to me, standing behind Leo, blocked by him, backpack on. He understood. "If you would be so kind as to make way, Mr. Thompson." Leo hesitated for a moment but stepped aside. I immediately walked out. Caspian put an arm around my shoulder and led me away. What are you doing up here? Got tired of waiting downstairs. Came up to see what was going on. You're still roommates with him. Yeah. Same advisor, got assigned to the same room. Move out. I'm leaving for the other university in a week. I can tolerate it. I can't tolerate my brand new boyfriend sharing a room with his shady ex-best friend, then get him kicked out. Why should I be the one to leave? Make him take a single room. All right, but I brought you a gift. What is it? The deed to a property. It's right next to campus. We'll go transfer the ownership tomorrow. When did you buy a house? A long time ago. The first time I started thinking about you. Are you like this with everyone you date? Never dated anyone else. Wouldn't know. Listening to his smooth lines, I almost wanted to laugh. He was so practiced. He must have said this to many people. But I couldn't be bothered to call him out. As long as it didn't affect my interests, I couldn't be bothered to dissect the truth in someone's words. Thinking back years later, I realized that I might have fallen for Caspian simply because he appeared at such an unexpected moment. 12 I hadn't spoken to Leo in a long time. Ever since I left with Caspian, his gaze would often fall on me, dark and gloomy, as if something was weighing on his mind. But whenever I looked back, he would awkwardly look away. A month passed quickly. When the news that I was selected as an exchange student spread through the lab, everyone was surprised. Leo's expression grew even darker. That evening, Leo stopped me as I was going to get dinner. His eyes were heavy. Holden, why didn't you tell me? What is your relationship with Caspian Crawford? I cut him off before he could finish. We no longer have a relationship. Don't question me like you're interrogating a suspect. Caspian and he's my boyfriend. Leo froze. I tried to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. He squeezed it tightly, forcefully, as if trying to leave a mark. What do you mean he's your boyfriend? What does that mean? How could you be? Holden, you're lying to me. I've always been this way. Holden, we're best friends. Why didn't you tell me? Didn't you find it disgusting? No, Holden, that's not what I meant. I didn't. How could I find you disgusting? Holden, stop messing around. We're best friends, Holden, I tried to leave, but he pulled me even tighter. I instinctively frowned, and he suddenly hugged me. My whole body went rigid. Holden, you liked me before, didn't you? No, you're lying. Your eyes shift when you lie. Does it matter if I liked him? It's been so long. It's too late for anything. Leo, it doesn't matter anymore. I have a boyfriend. I'm leaving. Holden, break up with him. I'll date you. Holden, I can do it too. I was wrong before. I'll change. We grew up together. We can be happy together. I looked up at the sky. It's too late. I pushed him away and turned to leave. A long time ago, I used to wonder if he would ever notice my strange feelings for him. But that's all in the past. I can't stay in one place forever. Autumn arrived and the days grew colder. Leo and I barely spoke. But he insisted on buying breakfast every morning. I heard from Julian that he had broken up with Clara last month. I didn't know the reason. Clara had come looking for him twice, but he refused to see her. At the end of the month, I went to Boston and began a life that was truly my own. Caspian and I called each other often. And besides Caspian, Julian was also in Boston. Julian hadn't gone to grad school. After graduation, he took over 2 of his family's small companies in Boston and was running them himself. He often complained to me about work. He'd rant about his latest screw-up, some crazy client he had to deal with, or who had stood him up. Occasionally, he would mention his brother, saying Caspian was 28 and still refused to get married. Julian suspected his brother had someone in his heart, some kind of bewitching fox. I uncomfortably avoided his gaze and rubbed my nose. People make a lot of small, fidgety movements when they feel guilty. I'm no exception. And just as I was feeling guilty, my phone vibrated. I opened it to see it was a call from Caspian. I made an excuse to step out and take the call. The line connected, but the person on the other end was silent. Finally, I spoke first. What's wrong? He let out a long, low sigh. I really didn't want to make this call, but I think you should know. Leo Thompson was in a car accident. What do you mean? 3 days ago, Leo was in an accident while saving a little girl. And coincidentally, the girl he saved is my distant cousin. I went to see him on behalf of my family to thank him. He asked me if he could see you one more time. I had blocked Leo for the 3 years I was in grad school. He had tried to find me during that time, but I always refused to see him hiding, so his trips were fruitless. I never expected this to happen. I'm just calling to let you know. Also, I don't want you to see him. After all, I'm not a generous person. I hadn't seen Leo in 3 years. I never thought the next time I saw him would be like this, with him in a hospital bed. The moment he saw me, he squinted and smiled. Holden, I've missed you like crazy. I walked closer and sat down. He gripped my wrist. His eyes were red and he looked down, his voice hoarse. Baby, long time no see. Long time no see. Holden, how have you been? Pretty good. That's good. Holden, if I hadn't changed your paper back then, you wouldn't have been so angry, and you wouldn't have left me all alone, would you? I've been dreaming a lot these past few years. I often dream about when we were kids, how we'd go out together. Whenever I got tired of playing, I could always turn around and see you there. But when I wake up, you're gone. I'm not asking for much, Holden. Just give me one more chance. I won't make the same mistake again. Can we go back to how we were as kids? I paused, meeting Leo's expectant gaze. I slowly said, Leo, we've grown up. His face fell in disappointment. He lowered his head like a sad puppy dog, but then he immediately smiled again. It's okay, Holden. We still have the future. I'll become just like I was when we were kids. One day, we'll be able to hang out just like we used to. When I left the room, I found Caspian waiting outside. He was just sitting there, on a blue plastic hospital chair. Caspian, in his top-tier, handmade Italian suit, looked like he belonged in a different dimension from his surroundings. Where do you want to go for lunch? You pick. I was a little exhausted. Caspian didn't say anything, just told me to get in the car. We had been together for 3 years, from the initial passionate rush to a calm, steady state. After a while, the hormonal thrill of any relationship gives way to mutual weariness. I suppose Caspian and I were no different, especially since he had been visiting me less and less frequently. I had been waiting for him to bring up breaking up, and I had a premonition it would be today. From the moment he got in the car, his expression was grave. I didn't know what he was thinking, but his face was a palette of colors, flushing red one moment and turning an inexplicable shade of green the next. I had a feeling he was thinking about another man. I sighed, sitting in the passenger seat, nursing my own private sadness. The car stopped. I looked at the huge mansion, guessing it was some high-end private kitchen. I sat at a magnificent, opulent dining table. For some reason, 2 middle-aged people were sitting across from me, staring at me intently, as if I were some rare animal. It was incredibly rude. I lowered my head and sat down. The atmosphere at the table was tense. Caspian said he was going to get a bottle of wine. For a while no one spoke, everyone eating in silence. Caspian returned, but the atmosphere remained quiet. Someone was playing the piano in the grand hall. I kept my head down, eating my food. The silence was broken by Julian, who burst in. Mom, Dad, I'm home for dinner. The butler said my brother is proposing today. Do you know where? I want to go watch the fun. Julian pushed the door open, and his eyes met mine. He froze. Hey, Holden, you're here for dinner too. What a coincidence, bro. Are you done with the proposal? Didn't you bring her back? Where's my sister-in-law? Caspian wiped his hands and replied calmly, sitting to my left. To your left, isn't that Holden? You've got to be kidding me. A sharp screech erupted from Julian. Amid his shriek, Caspian calmly produced a satin box, took out a ring, pulled his chair back, and knelt. Hand, he spoke. I paused, then extended my hand. He slipped the ring onto my ring finger, sat back down, and continued eating. I looked up, bewildered. The auntie and uncle across from me were clearly just as bewildered. In the end, it was Mrs. Crawford who spoke first. Holden, dear, how old are you? I replied politely. Auntie, I'm 26. That's wonderful. Have some seafood. Caspian proposed, in the year I thought we were going to break up. Later, I couldn't help but ask him, why were you in such a hurry? He wrapped his arms around my waist and buried his head in my shoulder, complaining, it's all your fault. Your story with Leo Thompson is one of deep feelings but a shallow fate. I'm the outsider who took advantage of the situation. I was afraid if I proposed a minute later, you two would rekindle things. Besides, baby, that day, I really felt like you were about to dump me. I opened my mouth but said nothing. What was there to say? That I really was on the verge of dumping him. His intuition was terrifyingly accurate. I started to laugh and he bit my neck in annoyance. That winter ended quickly. I stayed at the Crawfords' house until spring before going back to work. The end.